Hello, I'm Nikki Beatty from the Arts Hour, and this week I spoke to the South Korean born Canadian film director and filmmaker Celine Song. Her first film, Past Lives, which was Oscar nominated, we loved on the Arts Hour. And this interview is about her second film. It's called Materialists, and it's about a matchmaker in New York. So, somebody who puts together people who are eventually going to get married or partnered up. She is played by Dakota Johnson, but in real life, Celine Song was actually once a matchmaker herself. So I asked her how that informed the making of this
I
film.
think that I learned more about people and what's in their hearts in those 6 months that I worked as a matchmaker than I did in any other part of my life. Because I think when it comes to a matchmaker, even more than a therapist, you're asking that person to find you love. So people are very, very honest with you.
So, did you hear things like, well, I only want someone with good teeth?
Yes, of course. I think that what I'm able to hear, I think more importantly, it would be a series of numbers, right? It would be about height, weight, age, income. And I think that it would be pretty clear. It would be very hard numbers that would be given. I was a matchmaker in New York City, and everybody just felt very comfortable telling me what was the minimum amount of money that they needed their partner to make.
Coming from an Indian background, as
Mm.
I do, arranged marriages isn't unusual. And
Yes.
therefore, that transactional part of putting two people together is a no-brainer. Recently, there have been these series, Indian matchmaking,
Yes.
also Jewish matchmaking. There's a South Korean series, The Matchmakers.
Right.
Even way back, do you remember Patty Stanger and Millionaire
Yes, of
Matchmaking?
course.
What is the obsession?
Well, I think that we love the idea of being able to hire somebody who's going to help you solve a great problem and a great mystery in our lives, which is love. So I think that when somebody says that, oh, I'm an expert in that, I think that people feel like maybe if I invest in it, just like how you invest in any other topic, you're going to have your answers and you're going to find the love of your life. I think the truth is that love is just such a great ancient mystery and forever a problem that will not get solved, and it makes fools of all of us. So I don't think that it is actually possible to be an expert in love. I think that you can be an expert in dating. Right. Right. Like dating is a game that we play in pursuit of love.
Mm.
And I think that it is possible to be good at the game.
How much was casting your three lead actors part of a matchmaking process or
Oh,
similar to a matchmaking process?
it is just like a matchmaking process because I actually write my characters without having actors in mind. So I create the characters and then I go out into the world in search of the character's soulmates. And I think when it came to Dakota,
Career
Chris,
defining performance from her.
incredible, incredible. She's so incredible and she's perfect. And when I met her, it was so clear to me then that she was perfect person for Lucy. I think we were having lunch, and I think even before I got up from that lunch, I think I messaged my producers and studio and said, I think I found our Lucy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the look and feel of Materialist is beautiful.
Thank you.
You shot on film.
Mm-hmm.
Why film? What does it mean to you? I mean, thank you, first of all,
Yeah.
because it's such an enriching experience. But
Well,
what does it mean to you?
well, I think that, getting to shoot also New York City uh, on film, I think that that was something that is, of course, romantic on its own. And I felt like it is meant to be a cinematic experience. Making this movie, we were making it for the experience in the cinemas. And so much of it has to do with how beautiful it looks and how classic and forever it looks, too. So I think so much of it came from my relationship to Shabby Kirshner, my DP, and then, of course, his entire team, my colorist. I think all of us we were talking about how to capture this story, a love story, in a way, the most romantic way possible. And film is very, very romantic.
But it's also very expensive,
Yes, of
presumably.
course.
So, I mean, did that add pressure?
Well, I think of course, but I feel like it also adds all of us to feel very precious about it.
Mm.
Like me and the actors and the crew, like every piece of image, every frame of image that we're getting, some of it is about like, well, we don't want to waste our time and waste our film, and we don't want to waste things because we know that if we were to really come together for it, um, we can do something really beautiful and it'll be worth it. You know.
And there seemed to be these tonal shifts. Now,
Hmm.
I don't have the vocabulary for this, but when we were in Harry's apartment
Hmm.
versus the other two characters' apartments, they were very different.
Hmm.
But were you doing something different with sound or with images, or was it literally just how different the real estate was?
Well, I feel like that with that, of course, we have to do this in sound too, because I've something that is very real is, especially in metropolises, the private spaces and private quiet spaces are a luxury good.
Mm.
Right. So I think in that way, even in the sound design, we were looking for the way to differentiate and to depict correctly the luxury world of Harry, who's played by Pedro Pascal, and the life that John lives, the character played by Chris Evans,
Yeah.
because it is about the way that so many of our the way our lives are very different because of our economic reality. The movie's called Materialists, right? So it actually had to be really depicted accurately, the material reality of somebody who makes a certain amount of money, how much rent. In my script, there were rent prices. There's like the how much everybody's rent is and how they got to come to that real estate was scripted.
Is there a materialism that's specific to New York that's different,
Hmm.
say, from LA or any other city in the world, not just in the US?
Well, I wonder about this too, but I think that every city has its own materialism. I could say that there was one in London, right? Or there was one in even Houston,
I think there are
Texas, right?
many in London.
Yeah, so there are many in London,
Yeah.
but I think that the kind of the way it looks and how it's shaped is going to be vary depending on the city, right?
Mm.
But then we all can also sort of see. Well, I think that the truth is that wealth is a great drug of our time. And I think that we're so used to looking at wealth and thinking about wealth. Wealth is very overrepresented in media too, right? If you think about it, right? In most cases, most romantic stories, money is not something that anybody talks about because everybody has enough of it, right? So I think that that's something that I was thinking about when it comes to the way that New York City is going to be depicted. Right. Usually, a love story in New York City, maybe the economic reality of living in New York City is not necessarily addressed. And
Mm.
something that I really want to do with this movie is to be really honest about it. Because I think the truth is that behind closed doors, between friends, the economic realities and the pressures, and I think especially as there's no social security in the US in a way that so many countries are lucky enough to have. In New York City, like most of America, doesn't have social security. So I think that the economic pressures are even more intense at times, I would say.
So when you are choosing to sort of measure the love or the match
Hmm.
materially or
Hmm.
materialistically,
Yeah.
how much of a part does class play? When I first moved to live in America,
Yeah.
I was told by an American, America doesn't have class. We don't have a class system.
What are you talking
Well,
about?
because they were referring to me having an Indian background with not only class
Ah,
and caste, and
right.
also a British background, which
Yeah.
definitely has class issues.
Yeah.
But so isn't class a thing in the materialism matching?
Of course. What are we talking about?
You
There is
tell
a, yeah,
me.
of course. The class gap is massive, and I think that our economic systems are broken. So the gap is only growing and growing. And I feel like especially as social security is slashed beyond recognition in the US and they start to disappear all over the world. I think that the class issues are only going to get deeper and deeper. And this movie is very interested in talking about class as it plays a part in, unfortunately, romance in a way that it's always has been. If you talk about Jane Austen and Pride and Prejudice, right? It's kind of like, well, a lot of the economic pressures that book is about,
Mm.
um, unfortunately, in 2025, they remain and they've only worsened.
So, did you think that the class element of the film was representative of certain levels of class in America, or did you write for those characters and then they just happened to have that class?
I think class first. I
Yeah.
think, of course, because again, I knew that the movie was going to be called Materialist to begin with. It's about the material reality and how, you know, most important line in the film is the line, "I'm not merchandise, I'm a
Oh,
person."
yes. That was a brilliant line.
You and the thing about it is that I'm really interested in talking about the way that we are asked to objectify and commodify ourselves. And I
Mm.
think it's not just happening in the dating market, it's happening in the job market, right? In just just in our economic realities. There are ways that we're being constantly asked to turn ourselves into merchandise. But the truth is that a merchandise cannot love another merchandise, but a person might have a shot at loving another person. And all commodification and objectification of human beings is going to lead to dehumanization. And it's always going to be have a terrible end. The way we are trying to acquire and become merchandise is not conducive to what love is, what love can be.
And also the character of Harry, who seems to be the knight in shining armor, if we were to use simplistic fairy tale language, is not the true love. And it drove home to me
Yeah.
that these are people who know the price of everything
Mm-hmm.
and the value of nothing.
Yes.
Would you agree with
I
that?
completely agree with that. I think that the thing is, like, I understand the desire because there's so few ways that we can jump class. We can rise in our class. There's so fewer and fewer ways because our economic systems are broken. But there's one way that you can, which is to marry rich, right? You can still
But can that only ever be a woman marrying a man marrying rich?
not
Because the other way
necessarily.
around, wouldn't a man be
I think the other
considered
way
a...
exists. No, yeah,
I'm sure it exists,
yeah.
but I just wondered in terms of people who observe class that
Oh
closely,
yeah.
whether a man would be frowned upon
Well,
for marrying a rich woman.
Well, I think
That's your
the
next film.
fantasy, yeah. I mean, I think the fantasy is always that, like because sometimes when I talk about love and especially true love, when I talk about my movie Materialists, and then before that even Past Lives, when I talk about love, sometimes I'm met with a lot of cynicism, and of course I'm met with this question. It's like, well, first of all, is it worth it? Right? Is it worth looking for love, fighting for love, going through so much heartbreak to have love? And my answer is always like, yes, absolutely. And it's unfortunate that because we are so, uh, in 2025, the way we feel about a Birkin bag or a Ferrari, right? It's like we don't seem to question why those things cost the amount that they do. But I think that we do have it's unfortunate that so many of us have questions if love is worth it, if it's worth the trouble. And I'm like, well, love is freedom. Love is one thing that is free from capitalism. So in that way, it is always going to be worth it. It's ancient. Yeah.
A huge thank you to the wonderful Celine Song, and thank you for watching this interview. If you enjoyed it, do subscribe to the BBC World Service on YouTube. And also, The Arts Hour is a podcast, so you can subscribe to that wherever you get yours.